Hey guys, tonight we drift into a gleaming future that's being quietly built right above your head. A glittering lattice of satellites, sensors, and orbital weapon systems, pitched to the public as patriotism, but possibly pulsing with something far more cryptic. You lie back, eyes closed, and imagine a golden dome stretching above America. Not metaphorically, not symbolically, but literally, a ceiling of surveillance and silence wrapped in military-grade alloys. Welcome to the world of Donald Trump's Golden Dome for America. The project so futuristic, even sci-fi screenwriters feel a little underdressed. You probably won't survive this. At least, not with your privacy intact. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Comment your location and the time you're tuning in. I love knowing who's drifting off with me around the globe. Now, dim the lights for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You trudge mentally through the press release. $175 billion to build the most advanced missile defense network in human history. It sounds noble, necessary even. A giant protective shield stretching from Alaska to Florida, across land and sea. But no one asks, what exactly are we shielding from? Because when a government offers you a cage plated in gold, you're still in a cage. Officially, the Golden Dome is a response to the rise of hypersonic weapons from China and Russia. In his May 2025 campaign speech, Trump likened it to Israel's Iron Dome, but bigger, smarter, and totally American. It's all very reassuring, until you notice the strange lack of specifics. No public blueprints, no demo footage. And the lead contractors? All companies with roots in space warfare, biometric AI, and predictive behavioral algorithms. One of the most curious moments came when retired Air Force General Darren Malsby accidentally let slip on a live stream that orbital nodes will coordinate atmospheric patterning in addition to kinetic tracking. That little phrase, atmospheric patterning, isn't military jargon for defense. It's language lifted straight out of weather modification patents, some dating back to the 1960s. Scientists still argue whether this technology can meaningfully change climates, but the mere suggestion of the Golden Dome acting as a climate lever sends the imagination spinning. But here's where your breath catches slightly. You start recalling other golden things in American mythos. Golden idols, golden arches, golden handshakes. The more gold gets involved, the more something feels off. In ancient Mesopotamia, kings built ziggurats lined with gold leaf to touch the gods. Today, the plan is to launch thousands of satellites into low Earth orbit, each blinking down like mechanical seraphim. Do you feel protected? Or just really, really watched? Your mind wanders to a headline you read last week, mostly ignored. Palantir opens Orbital Analytics Division. Just a coincidence? Maybe. But Palantir, the data mining firm co-founded by Peter Thiel, has deep ties to ICE, the CIA, and predictive policing. And now they want to scan the Earth from space? That's not just a tool for tracking missiles. That's a God's eye. As you float along this realization, the final unsettling detail slinks in. The Golden Dome project's initial paperwork was filed not under the Department of Defense, but under the Department of Homeland Security. So yes, while the missiles are foreign, the targets could still be domestic. Now, to the Simpson family. Yes, that disarmingly yellow troop from Springfield. But look closer. Not Simpson. Simpson. That subtle vowel shift may be the key. The name Simpson is a ghostly echo of Samson, the biblical judge whose strength was bound to his hair, his power mythic, his fate tragic. The Simpsons, according to this theory, are avatars, conduits for an ancient narrative encoded into the American subconscious. Their uncanny prescience, predicting political upheaval, technological inventions, and world events, has long been dismissed as coincidence or satire. Yet, perhaps it is neither. Imagine for a moment that the Simpson family is a cipher, a long-running initiation into arcane truths. Each episode, a ritual. Each joke, a glyph. The father, Homer, with his name lifted from the blind poet of Greece, stumbles through chaos like a modern fool savant. Marge, the matriarch, her hair reaching skyward, like the twin pillars of Boaz and Jachin. Bart, the eternal child of mischief, channels the archetype of Mercury, while Lisa, the prodigy, vibrates with the frequency of Sophia, divine wisdom in a saxophone's lament. The show's Springfield is not a mere parody of Americana. It is America. It is the collective unconscious, rendered in pastel hues. And beneath the surface of every episode, a glowing thread connects back to the dome. Whispers from anonymous insiders, former animators, esoteric consultants, and disillusioned network executives hint that the creators of The Simpsons had access to ancient scrolls, unearthed in a forgotten chamber beneath the Vatican Library. These documents describe the auric shell, a global network of golden domes designed to preserve Earth's psychic equilibrium. The dome in DC is said to be the master node. According to these accounts, the Simpson broadcast serves as both beacon and buffer, subtly aligning collective human consciousness with the dome's frequency. This is why the series remains evergreen, immune to cancellation, because to stop the signal would be to unseal a vault too dangerous to open. And then, there's the curious fact that the show's longest-serving writer once disappeared for 6 years, only to return claiming he had lived inside a structure with no sky but infinite light. He was never the same. Skeptics point to the absurdity. But look again. How could a mere cartoon capture the trajectory of civilization with such precision? The 9/11 premonition, the Trump presidency, the Higgs boson discovery, predicted in frames long before they unfolded in our shared reality. Can this be shrugged off as mere coincidence, or is it a signal encoded in the frequency of laughter? The Golden Dome, some believe, is no longer static. Beneath the rotunda, behind sealed doors and biometric locks, it pulses, responding to fluctuations in the show's narrative, and by extension, in the emotional rhythm of the populace. Every rerun, every meme, every YouTube clip plays its part in a grand symphony of subliminal adjustment. One chilling theory posits that when the Simpson family finally ends their run, when the final episode airs, the dome's charge will release. A global psychic discharge. Some speak of transcendence, others of collapse. And so, dear dreamer, as you drift deeper into the folds of sleep, let this idea swirl gently in the currents of your mind. That America, far from being a land of chaotic chance, is instead a theater of deliberate enchantment. That a golden dome waits, patient and powerful, and that a yellow-skinned family in a 2-story home has been whispering the truth all along. Rest now. Let the dome hum. Let the laughter of the Simpsons guide your dreams. And should you awaken with a strange melody in your thoughts, or the inexplicable urge to re-watch a certain episode, know that perhaps, just perhaps, the signal has reached you too. You shift slightly in your bed. The air feels a little denser now, like the ceiling above you isn't just drywall and beams, but metal, sensors, code. You've heard of missile defense before, Patriot systems, radar grids, but this is different. The Golden Dome's quiet construction above American skies isn't about stopping things from entering. It's about knowing what's already inside. You're not supposed to think that. You're supposed to feel safe. But here's the thing. You remember what happened after September 11th, don't you? The Patriot Act passed so fast, your coffee hadn't even cooled. National security ballooned into a legal spiderweb, and the NSA built massive data centers to track, store, and cross-analyze your life. All for safety, Always safety. Then in 2013, Edward Snowden cracked it open. Files revealed real-time cell phone tracking, webcam monitoring, email scanning, and even metadata ecosystems that could predict who you'd call before you dialed. And now, 12 years later, that same architecture is floating in orbit above you. Only this time, it's not called surveillance. It's called defense. You picture it. Countless satellite clusters suspended in low Earth orbit, locked into geometric grids. Some are outfitted with radar, some with thermal imaging, a few with experimental behavioral modeling AIs, originally designed by DARPA for urban crowd prediction. You think that sounds insane, until you learn DARPA's LifeLog project from 2003, a program eerily similar to Facebook's early database format, was quietly shelved just months before Zuckerberg launched the site. Scientists still argue whether satellite facial recognition can work through atmosphere, weather, and shade. But some declassified research from 2021 proved high-res imagery could track subtle changes in human posture from 300 kilometers away. Posture. As in, reading your body language from space. And if that's what we know, imagine what we don't. You hear the name again, Golden Dome. Why gold? Why a dome? You wonder if the architects chose the term for comfort. Domes are shelters, cathedrals, planetariums. They protect, but they also contain. In ancient Rome, the Pantheon's golden dome was said to be blessed by Jupiter himself, except the emperor could peer through it, unseen, into the temple below. Sound familiar? Let's fold in another thread. In a leaked 2025 internal brief by defense contractor Raytheon Orbital Systems, a phrase appears, buried on page 34, footnote 2, mass civilian behavioral telemetry available for harmonic response indexing. You read that once, twice. Behavioral telemetry? Harmonic indexing? These aren't missile terms. These are people terms, human rhythms, mood detection, possibly even emotion modulation. Fringe? Sure. But it doesn't help that former Navy engineer Dr. Christoph Darnell claimed, on live radio in March 2024, that some experimental satellite arrays were being calibrated to influence urban sleep cycles via ELF frequencies. He was cut off mid-interview. That episode was never rebroadcast. Of course, skeptics laugh. But the laughter feels hollow when you think about how many conspiracy theories turn true. Remember MKUltra, the CIA mind control program in the 1950s that dosed civilians with LSD to study behavior? A myth, until it wasn't. Until the Church Committee exposed it in 1975, complete with memos, victims, and off-the-books funding trails. Now your mind spins back to the Golden Dome. You glance at your phone, your smart TV, your watch. Everything around you is networked, already syncing heartbeat data, sleep data, even your voice patterns. So what happens when those sync points rise to orbit? What happens when the cloud isn't in the cloud anymore, but wrapped around the Earth like a metal halo? You sigh, half sleepy, half stunned. Because if the Golden Dome really is an Iron Dome 2.0, why are its partners not defense contractors, but data firms? Why is Google consulting on behavioral prediction? Why is Palantir offering civic pattern analytics? And why, oh why, did an anonymous Redditor leak that the NSA's new nickname for the Golden Dome is the Crown? Because a dome can protect, but a crown rules. Own. You let your thoughts drift higher now, beyond the sky, beyond the headlines. The Golden Dome no longer feels like a government project. It feels corporate, as if the state only provided the flag, while someone else paid for the flagpole. And you start to recognize the fingerprints. The same names always orbit power, only now, they're literally in orbit. First, there's Elon Musk. He's everywhere. Cars, tunnels, brains, and most tellingly, satellites. His Starlink network was sold as a way to bring internet to remote villages. but it's also a private, globe-spanning communications grid. By the end of 2024, Starlink had over 5,000 satellites, and that number is expected to triple by 2026. And if you think they're only used for streaming cat videos in Alaska, think again. In early 2025, the Ukrainian military confirmed Starlink's dynamic satellite routing was being used for encrypted battlefield intelligence. Yes, civilian satellites guiding weapons. And guess who else has launched a fleet? Peter Thiel. In partnership with Anduril Industries, his stealth defense firm has quietly deployed Sentinel clusters, supposedly for climate monitoring. But when you cross-reference their orbits with classified FAA filings, you discover something strange. These Sentinels pass over every major U.S. city exactly 6 times per day. Equidistant, rhythmic, watchful. You can't help but imagine the entire sky above you as an invisible chessboard. And these men, these billionaires, aren't just playing the game. They built the board. Of course, none of this would matter if it weren't for money. But money is precisely the hidden engine behind the Golden Dome. The project, while federally announced, is being financed through a private-public blend of investors. Quiet venture capital, defense-focused hedge funds. Even a few sovereign wealth whispers from, believe it or not, the UAE. If you dig deep enough, as whistleblower consultant Darren Beasley did in late 2024, you'll find that over 41% of the Golden Dome's infrastructure is technically owned by private interests. That's not defense. That's infrastructure capture. Scholars still argue whether the privatization of security is a natural evolution or a creeping dystopia. But no matter how you frame it, one thing remains true. He who controls the sensors controls the story. And don't forget Jeff Bezos. His Blue Origin program may lag behind SpaceX in rocket launches, but it's ahead in one curious arena: orbital storage. Yes, storage. Since 2023, Blue Origin has launched payloads filled with high-density cloud servers into low orbit. What are they storing? Public records? Defense files? TikTok dances? No one knows. But one Blue Origin engineer leaked on an anonymous forum that their primary contract involved passive behavioral archiving via LiDAR echo bounce. Whatever that means, it doesn't sound like farming. Your room feels a little colder now, not from fear, from realization. You're not just under a dome, you're inside a constellation of control. And while politicians wave flags and promise safety, the real overseers float quietly above. Unreachable, untouchable, unaccountable. The Golden Dome might be the product of a nation, but it's becoming the property of a few. And maybe that's the point. Maybe the name Golden isn't about the metal at all. Maybe it's about the elite who always end up holding the gold. So when Trump calls it a shield for America, you start to wonder, shield for whom? Because if the public's being watched, and the billionaires are watching, then the dome isn't there to protect you. It's there to contain you, to monitor not just threats, but thoughts, trends, reactions, emotions, and maybe, just maybe, to build something even bigger. Because all these billionaire constellations, Starlink, Sentinel, Kuiper, they don't just float randomly. They follow trajectories, paths, designs. And in 2025, researchers from MIT's Geospatial Futures Lab discovered something chilling. When plotted over the globe, the densest paths of these satellites form hexagonal patterns eerily similar to the flower of life, a sacred geometry symbol linked throughout history to energy flow, frequency resonance, and, yes, ancient power structures. Coincidence? You try to dismiss it. You try to laugh. But the laughter doesn't quite come, because high above you, the Golden Dome glimmers, not just with technology, but with purpose. And now you can't unsee it. You lie there, your gaze tracing the imaginary arc of the Golden Dome across the sky. Not just wires and satellites anymore, but symbols, architecture, intent. Because if a dome encases what's encased, a country, a people, or an experiment, you think of the ancient domes of the past, Babylon's ziggurats, the Hagia Sophia, the Dome of the Rock. Structures meant to tether heaven to earth. Domes always signaled a crossing point, a place where mortals glimpsed divine order, or where gods watched from above. And now, in 2025, the greatest dome of all isn't built from stone or glass, but from silicon, frequencies, and eyes without faces. It gets stranger still. On February 9th, 2025, during a closed-door Senate subcommittee hearing, someone in the room, allegedly Senator Armand Delaney of Oregon, asked if the dome had a liminal failsafe. The phrase was buried in the transcript, skipped over like a typo, but conspiracy forums lit up. Liminal failsafe? What would that even be? A psychological firewall? A dream state deterrent? Then a name surfaced, Ingo Swann. You blink. You remember Ingo, the remote viewer, the psychic spy who worked under Project Stargate, trained by the CIA to see across space and time. In 1973, Swann claimed to have psychically explored the moon. He described structures, domes, lights. He also mentioned a barrier frequency that caused sudden nosebleeds during deeper sessions. That phrase, it reappears, verbatim, in a leaked 2023 DARPA document analyzing the cognitive effects of geo-orbital frequency harmonics. Fringe? Sure. But somehow, it always circles back. Because the Golden Dome isn't just about control. It may be about consciousness, monitoring it, mapping it, maybe even engineering it. You recall a curious NASA patent, filed quietly in 2002. Method and apparatus for manipulating nervous systems via electromagnetic fields from monitors. The abstract? Certain monitors emit EM fields capable of exciting sensory resonance in humans. Translation: your screen can affect your brainwaves. Now take that technology and scale it to the sky. Scientists still argue whether collective consciousness can be influenced externally. But Chinese researchers published a peer-reviewed study in 2021 suggesting low-frequency EM fields could shift dream content when paired with audio pulses. The Golden Dome has both: signal arrays, atmospheric harmonics, and the rise of AI-powered sleep assist apps syncing with these frequencies. That's not just tracking, that's entrainment. So maybe you're not imagining things. Maybe the dreams have been different lately. One last twist before you drift off. A former Space Force contractor, who vanished 3 weeks after posting, claimed that the Golden Dome wasn't a defense system at all, not even surveillance. He said it was an empathic net, a neural mirror, designed to create a planetary-level consciousness feedback loop. He said the dome had already gone live. And suddenly, you remember the odd dreams. The ones with the spinning symbols, the flickering towers, the whisper in your head that didn't sound like your own voice. You thought it was just stress. But now you wonder. Because above you, somewhere between the stars and your ceiling, something watches. Not like Big Brother, not like God, like something becoming. You exhale, long and slow, not in fear, in awe, because the Golden Dome isn't just above you, it's around you, within you. Quiet as breath, patient as gravity, and maybe, just maybe, that's how it always begins. Wind down, 300 words. Now, feel the weight of your limbs again, the curve of your mattress beneath your back. Let your breath stretch out slowly, longer each time, like you're sending signals of calm to the stars above. The tension in your neck? Let it go. That buzz behind your eyes? Release it. The Golden Dome can wait. Whatever it is, real or imagined, protective or predatory, it fades for now. Let it hang there, high above the earth, drifting further from your mind with each exhale. The questions can pause. The mysteries can settle like dust. You're here, in the softness of now. No satellites, no scans, just the rhythm of your breathing, the hush of your room, the edge of sleep, warm and waiting. Let the hush wrap around you. Inhale, 4 seconds. Hold, exhale, 8 seconds. Again. The world turns quietly beneath you. Somewhere, satellites hum. Maybe they're watching. Maybe they're dreaming. But you're free for now, floating just beneath the surface of sleep, protected not by a dome, but by stillness. There's nothing left to figure out, nothing to fear. Only the rhythm of night and your heartbeat slowing. You've made it. The golden dome gleams far above. And you, dear listener, you rest below it, unseen, untouched, deeply, fully asleep.